Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's continue our bitahon with the base halevi. You can't forget that face. You cannot forget that face. So today we're going to go into the practical strategies and ideas for strengthening one's emunah. Emunah is faith. Bitahon is reliance or trust on Hashem. And Emunah or faith is usually considered the theoretical, I have faith, I got faith in you. Bitahon is boots on the ground. Now let's see what it looks like when I have faith. Do I trust you? Am I showing you that I trust you, or is a person demonstrating that they have faith in Hashem with basically the faith? You know, I said like the faith without works is dead kind of idea. The faith, if it stays theoretical and you're not doing anything with it, is it really faith? Nah, we need to see something happening, and that's the bitahon. Okay, so this is Beis Halevi is Beis Halevi on trusting or reliance in Hashem, however you want to say it. Then you can get this from artscroll.com, and along with the other book. But anyway, we ain't looking at that right now. So let's stay focused on this one. So first, contemplating the wonders of creation. Before I get started, I'd like to dedicate this shiur to Rav Stephen Bernstein, Carolyn Jones, my mother Iris Elizabeth Roque, and Jean McBurrows. Who would you like to dedicate this to? May their memories be for a blessing. This is part of our Mussar series. Mussar is ethics, moral teachings, how to live this life in the world of doing in the Asiyah. Okay, so the first one is contemplating the wonders of creation. So wherever one turns, one can only marvel at Hashem's wonderful and ingenious handiwork in the human body, the animal kingdom, trees and plants, oceans and deserts, planets and galaxies, etc. So the one more contemplates creation, the more one will see its creator. It was through such observation that Avraham Avinu recognized that the world must have a creator. Chovat HaLevavot dedicates an entire chapter called Sha'ar HaBechina to focus on the wonders of creation. In more recent times, Rabbi Yisrael Yaakov Kanevsky, the Stipler, wrote several chapters on this topic in his work, Hayei Olam. Rabbi Avigdor Miller lectured and wrote extensively on the contemplation and appreciation of Hashem's wonders. Listen, let's put it in regular, because we just said some stuff that was like, if you're not familiar with it, you're like, what? Basically, this is why a nice education, even if you self-educate yourself in the galaxies, astronomy, all that kind of stuff, the way the body works, the animal kingdom, zoology, whatever your field is in, that has to, or if you have an interest in nature somehow, anything doing with nature, the laws of physics, all these things, they're all beautiful. And through them, you can see the handiwork of Hashem. So that's basically what it's saying. And these rabbis have wrote extensive works about appreciating these things that Hashem has made. But for us, we have so many YouTube and other places where you can go and see these things for yourself, versus just going outside if you can. So, okay, number 2. Again, this is called practical strategies and ideas for strengthening one's faith. So the first one was by contemplating the wonders of creation. The second one is by prayers and blessings with concentration. So when one focuses on the beautiful meaning of the prayers and blessings, one is awed by the lessons of Hashem's power and greatness, kindness and mercy. Now, we are reading a book, a Jewish book, written by a Jewish rabbi for his Jewish people. And because he's doing that, he's speaking of Jewish things, Jewish prayers in Judaism, blessings in Judaism, that we as Christian or non-Jews would not necessarily understand. So in their prayers, and they have a blessing for everything, but in their prayers and their blessings, he is explaining that you're focusing on the meaning of these prayers and these blessings, you're going to be awed by the lessons of Hashem's power. Because the prayers, as we learned from Rav Bernstein, are actually, they were scripted, if you will, by the Anshe Knesset HaGadol, the group of men of the Great Assembly. During the Babylonian exile, they started making prayers for Israel to bring them together. And also in those prayers, they put concepts of Hashem. And these prayers you say over and over again, and you get to know the Creator, which then strengthens your faith, which is what this chapter is called. So Rav Yeschiel Levenstein, he writes, I generally give lectures about strengthening prayer. And aside from the halachic aspects of prayer, meaning there are certain things you must do during the prayer that are, they must be done a certain way for that prayer to count. So aside from the halachic aspects of the prayer, prayer is the method to reinforce one's emunah. The main focus should be to pay attention to what the mouth speaks, the meaning of the words. Rav Shlomo Wolbe states that every blessing recited with proper concentration has the ability to strengthen one's emunah. And with proper concentration, and if we would make 100 blessings a day with concentration, our emunah would be aroused and strengthened until we would be transformed into superb believers. Okay, number 3, practical strategies and ideas for strengthening one's emunah. Noticing Hashem's guiding hand in one's life. Throughout one's life, there are many circumstances when one can clearly see how he or she is being guided by divine providence. Rav Shlomo Wolbe once said that anyone who focuses on the events that transpire in his life can write a personal Megillat Esther, like a book of Esther. You can write your own book of Esther based on the experiences in his or her life when Hashem's presence was evident. By focusing on these moments, one will begin to notice Hashem's involvement in his life and more and more, even in challenging times when his hand is not so evident. Rabbi Yisrael Levenstein's daughter, Rabbitzin Zlata Ginsburg, recalled that although her father didn't generally buy lavish gifts for his children, there was one thing for which he gave generous rewards. He once handed her and her sister notebooks and told them to write down every time they saw Hashem's providence, promising to reward them for every entry. In 1984, Rav Moshe Feinstein and Rav Yaakov Kamensky issued a letter stating, translated from the original Hebrew, that as any thoughtful person will understand, it is very important in these times to instill the belief that Hashem watches personally over the life of each individual. This is especially critical when educating our youngsters because this is a pillar that upholds our entire belief system. A good strategy for reinforcing this faith is to keep a notebook chronicling any situation in which a person sees and feels Hashem's direct supervision in matters of our daily life. I rocks with that because I got so many diaries and journals and notebooks all at the same time, and each one for a different thing. But I highly recommend this idea of journaling the good things in your day, the bad things in your day, and seeing how this thing comes together daily. Even if you can just write one word that summarizes your day, it's fine. Do whatever you can. It's a saying from Hillel that basically kind of like he who does not reflect is like sinning. You should be looking on your life. Then you can see how you work, how Hashem works in your life. But mostly you want to understand yourself, that you can get yourself in control, how you think. You look in your diary and you start noticing, maybe I shouldn't be hanging around with these group of people. I get in trouble when this happens. Or maybe I shouldn't, as we've been seeing in all the Mussar. You want to see how you're living out the Mussar or your lack of living out the Mussar. And that's where the diary or the journal, that's more manly, comes in handy. Okay, so practical strategies and ideas for strengthening one's emunah. Number 4, studying the 13 principles of faith. And these are the 13 principles of faith in Judaism. So Rambam, on his commentary to the Mishnah in Sanhedrin 10, verses 1, he lists 13 principles of faith and writes, when one believes in all these principles and they become clear to him, he is counted as a member of the Jewish people. Regarding these principles, Rambam writes, know them, review them many times, and analyze them well. An abridged adaptation of these 13 principles of faith have been incorporated into every Siddur. So if you have a Siddur, they're in there. And all has been accepted on the basis of our faith, Emunah. Although its author is unknown, the Brisker Rav remarked, our Emunah, our faith, is based on what is stated in the Siddur, in the prayer book. The prayer book is the Siddur that all Israel uses. In more recent times, Hofetz Haim wrote, it is a great mitzvah, it is a great commandment for every individual to strengthen himself in the recitation of the 13 principles and to recite them every day after prayers, just as our fathers were accustomed to do. However, as Rambam teaches, to merely skim through them does not suffice. Rather, one must apply thought and concentration into what he's saying. All right. Practical strategies and ideas for strengthening one's emunah, one's faith. Number 5, studying Torah. Rambam writes in Derashat Torah, Hashem Tamima, the verse states, the Torah of Hashem is perfect, restoring the soul. The testimony of Hashem is trustworthy, making the simple one wise. So after the earlier verse states, the heavens declare the glories of God, the glory of God. It then goes on to explain the praise of the Torah, saying that the Torah declares the praises of Hashem more than the heavens, sun, moon, stars, and all the other items mentioned in as well. The explanation is that David begins and states that the heavens declare the glory of God. Although all of these proofs from nature are clear proof of Hashem's greatness and that they are all his handiwork, the Torah is even a more complete proof than those, because it restores the soul and makes the simple wise, meaning that the Torah removes any doubt from one's heart. Rav Deshler states that the study of Torah infuses one's heart with emunah, faith. When one studies Torah and delves into its meaning, it strengthens his emunah, for it becomes so clear and obvious that the Torah is from Hashem. It thus arouses him in fundamentals of faith that lie in the Torah. Although the above applies to every area of Torah, on a more practical level, the study of the Chumash, the 5 books of Moshe, strengthens one's emunah, strengthens one's faith. It is here that we learn the story of creation, of Yetzias Mitzrayim, which would be the Exodus story, and Matan Torah, as they say in Ashkenazi, Matan Torah, which is the giving of the Torah at Mount Sinai. These are the sources of the Jewish faith: the creation story, the Bereshit, the Exodus from Egypt, and the giving of the Torah. These are the sources of Jewish faith. Someone asked Rev Yerucham Levovitz for his advice on how to strengthen emunah, his faith, and he advised him to learn the Chumash, the 5 books of Moshe, with Rashi commentary every week. In fact, Rav Yerucham gave a shiur, or a study, on the Chumash, on the 5 books of and with Rashi commentary. He gave a shiur, a lesson on it every week to the American Bachurim in the Mir. Bachurim, I'm not sure what that means. If you know, put it down below. For he felt they were lacking in their faith because of the influence of American culture. These shiurim, these lessons, were then compiled into the classic sefer, Da'at Torah. So if you're interested in getting that, it's in a book called Da'at Torah, D-A-A-T, Torah, T-O-R-A-H. Toward the end of his life, Rav Elachan Wasserman would read the story of creation every single day in order to strengthen his emunah towards the end of his life. Wow. Practical strategies and ideas for strengthening one's emunah, one's faith. Number 6, keeping Shabbat and focusing on its lessons. Shabbat is a way to strengthen our faith. Hofetz Chaim, he says in the Torah states, remember the Shabbat day to sanctify it. 6 days you shall do work, for in 6 days Hashem made the heavens and earth. These verses teach us the concept of Shabbat, that it is the source of all emunah, to know that the world was created from nothingness. And our sages state, one who guards the Shabbat is as if he fulfilled the entire Torah. And this is all because of the reason mentioned above. that Shabbat is the source of Emunah. In fact, Shimshon Pinchas explains how all the 13 principles of faith are rooted in Shabbat. Rabbi Yisrael Yaakov Kanevsky, the Steipler, writes that Shabbat is so holy that the merit and influence of experiencing, honoring, and enjoying Shabbat frees one from all doubts in his faith. Rav Shlomo Wolbe refers to Shabbat, the world of Emunah, as the world of Emunah. There are many ways one can strengthen his Emunah on Shabbat, but it requires thought. Focus on the words of the Kiddush, which is the declaration of faith. When one closes his business and refrains from discussing business matters on Shabbat, you close down your store or whatever, come home from work, and you stop talking about work, he should remember that Hashem controls the world and he is the source of all success. So maybe they're thinking like, if I would keep my store open, I would make one day more money. But the rabbi is saying, no, remember, all your success is in the hands of Hashem. He's got control of it, not you opening up your store on the day of rest. So pay attention to the words of the Shabbat prayers, the Shemona Esrei, and the Pesukei Zimra, and that all are infused with Emunah. And if you have a siddur of the prayers, then you'll know what these things are. If you do not have, and you're not, and you don't know what the Shemona Esrei and all these things are, you can find them if you go online and look for a siddur, S-I-D-D-U-R. I believe the Chabad.org website has one, but you can find any kind of siddur online, or siddur, or the Hebrew prayer book for beginners or something like that. You can type in there and you can see this for yourself for free. Okay. Practical strategies and ideas for strengthening one's Emunah. Number 7, talk about Hashem. The more one speaks about Hashem, the more Hashem will become a reality to him. One should train himself as to always say, with Hashem's help, God willing, thank God. Similarly, when one prays or makes a blessing, he should stop for a moment and think to himself, who am I speaking to? Okay. Practical strategies and ideas for strengthening one's Emunah. Number 8, bitahon, reliance on Hashem. Rab Dessler states that although one cannot attain proper bitahon or reliance on Hashem or trust without first acquiring the basics of Emunah, basics of faith, the effort to develop bitahon strengthens one's Emunah. One who constantly looks to Hashem for help releases himself from the challenge of nature, which conceals Hashem's presence. Nature conceals Hashem's presence, interestingly enough. But by overcoming this challenge through bitahon, one achieves greater clarity and Emunah. So like the previous example of the guy that has a shop that's like, if I keep it open, I'll make more money with my family. We really could use the money right now because we're going through A, B, and C. Well, that idea of working is nature. Like, man has to, that's the law of nature. If you don't work for your food, you ain't going to get nothing. So the challenge is to see that Hashem, if you go to Hashem for your help, God willing, we will make money we will get double the money in the week that we're open, the days that we're open. You put your reliance on Hashem and ask for God's help. He will defy the laws of nature, which said you should have stayed open and then you would have made the money. So when you rely on yourself or nature, Hashem is concealed from you. He is concealed. But when you rely on Hashem's help, He is revealed for you. Okay, and that is the end of our quick little Mussar. So I hope you enjoyed that. Please put your comments down below, any insights you got, and that would be much appreciated. If I said something incorrectly or whatever, just put a correction down there and put a reference so I can learn too. We all new here, so let's go. And so I hope to see you next time in some more bitahon.